Well, hello there. Welcome to the fire. Come and take a seat right here. While there's a lot of horror stories out there, every once in a while we get a story about a group of friends who band together and do something so fantastic, well, they still talk about it to this day. And honestly, that's what playing TTRPGs are all about. The single best campaign I ever played. r/D&D stories posted by Endorian. I cannot forget the single best D&D campaign I ever played. This is the game all my favorite D&D stories come from. A short post explaining it could never do it justice, but I wanted to share the love I feel for this game by coming here and sharing my story with you. If I asked either of the other players or the DM, they probably remember a lot more and very different things about the game. But this is what I personally remember the best. Enjoy! This was a small group running our very first D&D 5th edition game. We had a wonderful DM who I will simply call DM or Dungeon Master when appropriate, who was running his very first D&D game ever. Players were Lucille, a spell-slinging, pure white tiefling cleric of Soon, who we affectionately call Lysol, Zephyrin Evergreen, a half-elf paladin with so much strength he could lift a mule over his head, and myself playing Roy Alexander Gallivant, yes, named after the show, who was an 80-year-old human fighter trying to relive his glory days while guiding the next generation. We had fantastic chemistry from the get-go, and how much we loved our characters did not hurt one bit. The story began when my character's backstory was immediately invoked. He was known for killing the red dragon Deidre 60 years ago with a legendary magic sword. Your standard folk hero stuff. Now he'd more or less rusted away all his experience. But the dragon was inexplicably back. So King Ulrich Roy's nephew called the most capable young folk he could find to go and figure out what was going on, sending Roy for his experience dealing with this dragon before. Before we head out of town, we run to the bar and meet a bartender named Pete, who would become one of our best allies in time. On the way, we fight some goblins to get used to the combat system in a fort they overtaken. We easily dispatch them and move on to our first town on the way with the thrill of having beaten our first combat behind us. On the way into town, we encountered a mishap along a cliff face. More goblins attacked us, and we did beat them, but not without cost. Our mule, Mrs. Weatherby, who we had only named the session before, was sent careening off the cliff to her death. Oh, this was going to be that kind of game. Following that somewhat sad moment was an even sadder one. See, I've written a very complex backstory for Roy, and DM was all too happy to pepper in little references to it everywhere we went. The town was the very same town Roy had gotten his very first horse from 60 years prior, and the same town where the girl who had become the one casualty on his quest had hailed from. We picked up a horse and said hello to the late adventurers party and headed on our way from there with a bittersweet sense in our heads. This is where my memory gets slightly foggy. It's been years since I played this game, and I didn't have a good memory to begin with. But as I remember it, the party then finally made it to the very town the dragon had attacked. The whole town was burnt to cinders. There were very few survivors, and those who had survived had been left homeless. While we marveled at the destruction, a figure appeared before us, appearing as a tall man in red armor with blood-red hair. Roy would have recognized him anywhere, even if not for the fact he was wielding the magic sword Roy had used to kill the dragon 60 years prior. This was Deidre in human form. Roy immediately attacked him, but lacking the magic sword the dragon was holding in his own hand, there was no way he was getting past the magical barrier that appeared when he tried. Deidre moved to strike, bringing his sword down. As King Ulrich himself appeared, moving in front of the attack to shield the people he cared about most. If that seems a little ham-fisted, we've been regularly communicating with him on Callstone the whole way over here. He made a point to regularly check in on us, and when we were approaching the town, he was already on his way over to make sure we were safe. He was a Gallivant, and as DM and I had decided, the Gallivants are a family of adventurers. Every single one has adventure in their blood, even when they have responsibilities. He came alone, on horseback, and threw himself in the way when he saw someone he cared about was going to die. He was one of the only people in the world who knew the secret of the magic sword that had been used to kill the dragon. He knew its name, Soul Splitter, a sword that cannot kill, but cuts the soul into pieces, scattering a new piece to the wind with every strike. A sword that has struck the dragon countless times and only needed to strike a human once to perform its intended purpose. Ulrich was split in two. I will definitely share more of this story later, but my brain's a bit fried. I love this game so much, I can't wait to share the rest. Now that is indeed a wonderful story. It's really great how the DM was able to incorporate the players into the world lore. It's sessions like that which are the reasons why players return back to the table. Bravo! Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And would you kindly follow the socials posted in the description below. As always, be good, be great, be awesome.